Hi friends, I'm Victoria. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we are making a couple of really yummy summer recipes. Now it's August here in Texas and it is hot. And so we are trying our best to enjoy the last little bit of summer, and part of that includes what we are having for dinner. So I'm going to share with you two recipes today that are easy peasy that you can do this summer and that you can kind of spice up your summer menu. So the first recipe that I'm going to be sharing with you is I call it my Italian rainbow quinoa salad, because it has quinoa and chickpeas, and then you basically empty your refrigerator. You figure out what sounds good for you to have with the salad. So I had some tiny balls of mozzarella cheese, so I included those. I had some different colored bell peppers. That was really yummy. I included those as well. You could use cherry tomatoes. You could leave the cheese out and keep it vegan if you wanted to. Basically, whatever sounds good to you in terms of fruits and veggies, that's what I want you to put in this salad. And then we're gonna make an Italian dressing. And as you may have seen in previous videos, we only need 4 ingredients for our Italian dressing, and that is oil, vinegar, a little bit of mustard, and a little bit of sweetener like honey or agave. And with those 4 ingredients, we're gonna make a delicious homemade dressing. One of the things I want you to remember when it is summertime and it is hot is that we don't have to always be at the stove cooking. I think that sometimes we think that cooking dinner means I have to take something out of the fridge and I have to cook it on the stove or put it in the oven and cook that for 20 minutes. That is not the case. So especially like for the quinoa, you can cook that ahead of time. And then when you're going to assemble, you already have your cooked quinoa. This is perfect for the times that you really don't want to heat up your house with putting something on a burner. Instead, you already have the quinoa already made. So that's a little tip for you. If you are the type of person that you get too hot cooking, I get you, then pick certain days where you're going to be batch cooking instead. And that will not only save you some time, but it'll save you some effort in sweating over the stove, literally. I make my gluten-free crust from scratch. And if you are into this, if you're like, yes, share with me, impart with me all the wisdom, I share all my recipes in my membership called Victoria's Kitchen. If you are a member of the cooking club, you are going to receive the crust recipe and then the pizza recipe. And if you're not already in the club, I'd love to have you. Today we're making a summer pizza. This is gonna be delicious. This is gonna be so yummy. You're going to love it. It is my own twist on like a real Italian summertime pizza. So we're gonna use a gluten-free crust, and I'm going to use for that, boom, Caputo. Gluten-free for all your baking needs, pizza bread, baked goods, and more. This is what I use for gluten-free pizza and for focaccia. So let's talk for a hot second about pizza. Most of the time pizza has a tomato base, and honestly, if my kids, like if my youngest is putting tomato sauce on, I'm like, too much sauce. Like the sauce just should kiss your pizza. That's it. You're just like, like a little smear to the top. That's it. It doesn't need to be drowning in sauce. Today, for our pizza, we're making something completely different, and we are using ricotta cheese, yum, along with pecorino romano. Now, if you don't know where to find pecorino romano, my friend, you're in luck, because it is at Costco. It is at all the Costcos, yay. And you buy a big brick of it and you shred it yourself, which is the way you should do cheese anyway, because shredded cheese is gross, and they add cellulose to the shredded cheese, in case you didn't know, which is like paper pulp or something disgusting. So it won't clump, because we're weird people and we won't buy products that look clumpy. Shred the cheese yourself, people. Shred it yourself. So pecorino romano, you can find it at Costco. If you do not have pecorino romano, or you don't think that you'll be using it, first of all, like, we gotta talk. But secondly, then get the Parmesan. They have Parmigiano Reggiano at Costco. It's a big brick. It's probably the best price you can find around. And again, you're gonna shred it yourself. It'll be easy peasy. If you shred the whole brick, this is just a little tip from me to you. If you shred the whole brick and you're only gonna use like a little bit for a recipe, take the rest and put it in the freezer and it will be perfectly fine. And then when you're ready to use it, just take it out of the freezer. It's fine. It'll be great. We are going to top this pizza with fruit and fresh basil. Fig would be freaking fantastic if you could find it. A lot of times it's really hard to find fig. And because of that, I have 2 baby fig trees in my yard that I'm trying to keep alive. And I'm like, come on guys, it's gonna be like years until I get fig, but that's okay. So if you like fig, add fig. If you don't like fig, then we're gonna thinly slice strawberries, peach, nectarine. I don't think plums would land with this, but if you wanna do plums, you do a plum. We're also gonna add a balsamic glaze because why not? That's gonna be lovely with this on top. But here's the kicker, fresh basil. We're gonna do thin strips of fresh basil for the top. So this pizza, when I first tried this, like I had this idea, I was like, let's do different pizza. I made this, of course, like my youngest is like, Mom, there's no pepperoni on that. Yeah. So he didn't eat it, and so my husband and I tried it, and the words that I would use to describe this is, it's a different pizza. If you are a pepperoni pizza purist, you are not gonna like this pizza, but it is so different and delicious and something really fresh for summertime. So if you are willing to experiment, come on with me and we are gonna figure out how to do this pizza. It's going to be delicious, okay? So let's get started with our pizza. I give you all the recipes for these dishes and more, all of my time-saving tips and tricks in the Cooking Club Victoria's Kitchen. So I'm gonna put the link below. Every month you get 4 recipes and tutorials from me, and then we also do a cooking class, and for the month of August we are doing restaurant quality steak. Hallelujah, this is gonna be so delicious. I'm thinking I might do a bolognese for September, and a lot of people don't know what a bolognese is. It is an Italian meat sauce, a sauce, okay? I'm not even from the East Coast. It's a sauce and it's delicious, and you will impress people with this sauce, okay? It takes like 30 minutes to make, which is surprising for how good it is, but you're gonna be like, I have died and gone to heaven. It's gonna be that good, okay? So I guess we're doing bolognese for September, we're doing steak for August, so click below to sign up. Let's get back to our pizza. The first thing you need to know is we need yeast, okay? We're gonna be using this is for 1 big sheet pan and a half. We're using a half of this bag, okay? You need a kitchen scale and you need yeast. I'm sorry. So for people who are afraid to use yeast, that was me for a long time, but here's the deal, is you can use yeast for so many things. You can make a bread, you can make something like like yeast rolls or something like that. It does take a little bit of a learning curve, but if you wanna make really good pizza at home, okay, that is not costly, that is gluten-free, you gotta come along with me. Like, I'll hold my hand, okay? I'm gonna take you there. And we are going to start with our yeast. We need dry active yeast. We're gonna start out by adding our water and our yeast. And our yeast is gonna get happy in our room temperature or slightly warm water, okay? Then we're gonna add our flour, some olive oil, some salt. That's it. We're gonna mix it. I use a mixer for this, or like a stand mixer or a hand mixer, it doesn't matter. And we're gonna let it get happy. So we're gonna make the crust first, wait 3 hours, and then prep dinner. So like I said, a little bit of math is involved. We're cool, we can do this. And don't forget, it has to be this flour. There you go. So what's the deal with gluten-free flour? They're not created equal. Okay, let's talk about gluten-free for a hot second. Gluten-free things are not created equal. And actually I started selling gluten-free baked goods because I found that I made them anyway, and people in my neighborhood were like, what? How much can I pay for that? And like, I was like, okay, I have a bakery now, and I didn't even know. They can be tricky. So you want to make sure you use the right flour, you're using the right measurements. This is where you need a kitchen scale. Like, I can't even talk enough about a kitchen scale. This is my kitchen scale. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to blind you with this. This is my kitchen scale. It's a plugger-inner. You can plug it in and recharge it. And look, if we're gonna get really serious here, if we're gonna be like real rock stars in the kitchen, you need a scale because you need to be able to weigh your ingredients, especially with baked goods, especially with you're using anything with yeast. You need the appropriate amount of water to yeast and the flour and the whole thing, okay? So a lot of people are like, I don't want to get a kitchen scale, one more thing. I hear you, boo, but this is going to be your best friend, especially if you want to continue to make these gluten-free products. You have to be really precise. Like, baking is more of a science than an art. At least that's what I think, and it's really helpful to have this in the kitchen. After 3 hours, your dough should look like it's happy, okay? We're gonna portion out about a little bit more than a quarter of this dough. It's gonna go on a separate sheet pan. I found that this amount of dough is too much for one full sheet pan. So I do one plus like a quarter size sheet pan, which is actually perfect because if you have kids that are picky, maybe you make a kid pizza. This is what we do at my house. I make a kid pizza that has whatever they want on it. So whether that's like pepperoni, if I put prosciutto on there, they love it though. A pepperoni, like whatever they want, right? On that pizza, or just cheese or whatever. And then you can make your own adult refined pizza, because we're refined people that like to have ricotta cheese on our pizza. The one thing that is different about this dough is you don't roll it out, you smush it. And you need olive oil on your hands and olive oil on the dough, and we're gonna smush it. And it's way different than rolling out pizza dough. It's just different. This is like a different deal. So, and then we're gonna go ahead and add our ricotta cheese and our prosciutto, and we're gonna bake it. So here's the deal. If you have something like a strawberry or a peach, I would add it after it's baked. If you have a fig, throw that in the oven. And this is purely my preference. So if you have a different preference, then you do you, boo, okay? And then we're gonna finish with our fresh basil and our fruit, or whatever we want. If you want the balsamic glaze, add the balsamic glaze. You may have seen in another video I had balsamic glaze. It is because it is awesome. So feel free to get creative with the fruit, what kind of cheese you want to add to your ricotta, if you want to do prosciutto or no prosciutto, if you want this to be a vegetarian dish, okay? I have friends who are vegetarians. I'm sure they're like, girl, why do you add prosciutto to everything? Because it tastes so good. It tastes so good. So you can skip the prosciutto and just do, if you wanted to make this a vegetable thing, like, yeah, summertime veggie pizza, you could just add vegetables to this. That would be really interesting too. So you could go a number of different ways with this pizza, but this is my preference, is to add a little sweetness to it, and it tastes a little bit different. I do like the sweet and salty with the prosciutto. That's, again, my preference. So yeah, so that's our summertime pizza. It's delicious. You should try it. that's it for me, folks. I hope you enjoy your pizza and enjoy the rest of your summer. I will see you soon.